Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher. We are not joined by the GOAT, Justin Fan, today. He's got some family obligations to deal with, so wish Justin the best of luck. We miss him this week. We'll see him hopefully again next week. We've got a 9-game slate here on tap, and the injury news is flying fast and furious. Right before we get on the air here, we are hit with the bombshell that no James Harden tonight.
Not a bombshell to me. I'll say that.
No, Mike hit you with that bombshell. Well, Mike, you could have beat Shams. I mean, but is it in editing still? Are we up live? Is Matchups live on site?
It's not, which is too bad, man.
I know.
I was talking about Harden possibly sitting. You know, I think I'm 3 for 3 on calling career high games. So I can't call a career high Kyrie game, but I called a Kyrie season high game because I thought Harden would be limited or maybe even out. So hate to see it.
There we go.
And yes, if you listen to the last three ball that was Harden centric, talked about Harden possibly sitting today. So
there it is.
Shout out to me.
Shout out to you. For those of you who have been sweating alongside my apartment appliances, I'd like to let everybody know that I'm a handyman. I was able to fix my refrigerator. Apparently, it was not working all day yesterday, but I came home from lunch today and it was working. So I'm going to take credit for that. It's either me or God. It's one of the two of us that fixed that thing. So yeah, I'll take it today. God can have it tomorrow if it's still working. Shout out to me. All right, let's get into the injury stuff. There's plenty on this slate to go over. Let's start with the Nets. No James Harden, along with no Kevin Durant, means a whole lot of Kyrie Irving against the Utah defense that has been struggling on the perimeter, keeping guys in front of them, and has been struggling without Rudy Gobert behind them. On the Nets side, what do you think the rotations look like tonight?
Yeah, Kyrie, more Kyrie, for sure. He'll be playing all the minutes he can handle. Really good matchup. Now I expected Royce O'Neal to get Harden. Now Royce O'Neal will probably get Kyrie. Then Mike Conley will get the other wings. I would think they probably start Bembry. Oh, I think they would start Bembry against them. Then Patty Mills the 2, obviously Kessler, and then Daddy Clax. Also worth noting too with Daddy Clax, the uninitiated is Nicholas Claxton. They wanted to play him more. You saw this last game, masher, 23 and 11, 5 blocks. It was a back-to-back, and Nash said he couldn't play more because he was so tired from the back-to-back. So Claxton, man, without Harden usage, my God, his upside's legit, slate breaking against Utah. That's I think 20. They're bottom 10 in rim protection. They're 25th in defense this month. It's been just as bad without Gobert. It'll be just as bad with Whiteside, and we're not talking about him. So Claxton and Kyrie smash. We know Claxton's really him and Harden have a good little chemistry, but I expect those guys to go completely ham. Obviously, Patty Mills gets a pretty big jump up here as well.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that if you look at historically when Claxton has played off the floor from James Harden, when Harden has not been on the floor, he's been really ineffective. He's been really not his usage rate's been down. He's been really poor. So obviously Kyrie is a ball handler a little bit more along the lines of Harden than KD is. But do you think Kyrie will still be as effective in getting Claxton those pick and roll looks? Because really that's the big thing. Claxton gets all of his offense off of lobs, basically. There's really not a lot else to it.
Yeah. He has a little bit of dribble game. But yeah, I think the matchup's too good, and the increased usage, I think, would top the potential efficiency issues. I just think he's going to play a ton. They don't want to play Blake. They don't want to play James Johnson in the spot too much. Obviously, these wings are going to have to play more, 2-3 now. So the minute stealing is just, and they're just going to have to funnel guys down. So I think he's got a shot at this may sound crazy. I know we always pull center minutes down, but I think he can get to 34 or 35. It's upside. Yeah, I know. I knew you were going to say that.
For a guy who was literally,
I know,
talking about conditioning issues.
I know,
man. Daddy Clax.
I'm not saying put him at 34, 35, obviously, but I think he's going to play a lot today. I'm not on the show, but that's definitely something I would.
Daddy Clax is like Charlotte's Web, sucking Gallagher right into the web. We'll
That's
see.
My dude.
Patty Mills will take on a big usage responsibility as well. The secondary minutes are always tough to figure out with Brooklyn. Basically they feel comfortable playing Mills and Kyrie a lot. They seem to feel pretty comfortable with James Johnson and Claxton. Johnson's the guy who's really been picking up a lot of playing time in the absence of KD and Aldridge. the combo of those two guys. And then after that, it gets pretty all over the board in terms of who picks up minutes. So there's opportunity for guys like Bembry and Bruce Brown and those types of guys to pick up more minutes here. But, predicting which one will ever be the guy that gets the bulk of them, even if they start, it's not really guaranteed. You see a lot of times where guys start and play like 18 minutes for Brooklyn, as you saw with Kessler Edwards last game, just 19. So it's a little hot handy. All right. Other big cues. Chicago Bulls. Big fan of
You've
Plaid.
gone to Plaid.
Yeah, flannel season. Yeah. It's a cool, wet day here in New York City. A lot of rain. It's been kind of crappy weather all week here in the city.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I guess we could address Cam Thomas real quick. Just if you want to hit him. Yeah, so he doesn't really pop. We saw where are we at here? What was that game? Harden missed the Warrior game. Yeah, you see, he didn't really play that much, right? And that was stunning to me because I thought when I first did it without Harden, I was like, okay, he's going to get all the non-Kyries, probably all the non-Mills, and that didn't happen. So, I like the matchup a lot. I definitely think he's playable, but it's not great. But again, not having Aldridge too, that kind of funnels things down, like I was saying. So I think he's got a shot 22, 23 minutes maybe here, but not like a massive spot there.
Yeah. There's obviously a lot of scoring opportunity to take on because they won't be able to stagger Kyrie and Harden. So there will be that offensive role for Cam Thomas. But yeah, he's really mostly score only at this point in his career. And, in a big slate, it's kind of tough to break through at that level. I see Chad is very invested in Plaid Dink. I like it. Gary is now labeled Cardigan Dink, Plaid Dink. I guess we can go Fashion Friday, right? And every Friday I'll just break out a different look. And you guys in the chat can vote on your favorite, look. We'll just mix. We'll mix cultures here. And I see Andrew noting that Plaid Dink is a wave. I'm not familiar with the kiddos' language these days. Nope. I thought it was a vibe.
Yeah, that's what I thought, right?
But maybe it's a wave too. All right. On to more injury situations. The Chicago Bulls on the second night of a back-to-back. Kobe White and Zach LaVine are questionable. LaVine was questionable last night. Had some moments, I guess, through the game. I was checking in from the concert on your guys' Slack. Had some moments in the game that looked like he might not come back. Did come back and finish the game. They went into overtime, lost. Billy Donovan's talked about this 7 games in 10 days stretch, trying to get the Bulls players some rest here. So this feels pretty questionable for LaVine tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's out. I was grabbing his back, as you mentioned. And poor Lily. She has to share you with us. Dude, you don't even want to. I'm so bad. I'm way more dating you guys than my girlfriend. But anyways, yeah. So I think he's out. And then on top of that, Kobe White is listed with a groin strain in a back-to-back. I think he's sitting too. So my God, another call it. I would assume it was career high 24. Love the matchup.
Wow.
I'm really into Dosunmu. I think Dosunmu goes ham.
Wow.
Here, big minutes coming. See a little bit more Matt Thomas. If they both don't play, Troy Brown, we know he's capable of playing, the 2 and the 3, even the 1. Bubble Troy Brown won us a lot of money. Javante will play a bunch of minutes. He's obviously fully cleared for all the playing time. DeMar's going to see a lot of Torrey Craig. So, it should be really, really Vooch, Dosunmu centric offense. And Vooch is back. So really into him there.
Yeah, Vooch has been playing really, really well. Great flag plant last night on the premium show from Mark Dankenbring. Tonight, who knows if you'll get as good a flag plants on that premium show, but you will get a surprise shirt from Gary Hartman on the DFS show later. Tune in to find out on Establish the Look, the first version of Establish the Look, our premium DFS fashion show on Friday.
And I'm also pumped that Gary told me that he's coming to Phoenix next month. So
nice.
Loving it, man. I'm going to hang out with Dank last month, and then now I'm going to hang out with Gary. Maybe one day I'll actually get to meet you. Matt Wiggins.
The ETR crew rolling through Phoenix. Love it.
Yeah, man.
All right. More injury situations, more back-to-backs. John Collins, Lou Williams, Gallinari. What's the situation with the Hawks tonight as they play Toronto, the other team on the side of that overtime game against Chicago last night? Atlanta on the second night of a back-to-back here. What are we dealing with their injury situation tonight?
Yeah, so John Collins hurt his shoulder late. His arm was dragging as he went to the locker room. Did come back to the bench. Looked okay. Training staff checked him out. He actually interviewed after the game, which is rare for a guy who gets hurt. And said he was going to be okay. Says he plans to play. I have doubts, man. He also said he aggravated this injury from earlier in the week. It just looked bad. So I think he sits, despite his comments there. But yeah. So we'll see what happens. No Gal is interesting. So losing him, and like you think they'd have to go small because they just don't have any other fours. Maybe they bring Kevin Knox, possibly start Kevin Knox. I doubt, but I think they would go Kevin, especially the matchup against the Raptors, who have a lot of guys who can drive and penetrate, and Scotty Barnes and OG can do a little bit of that. I think like perimeter defense over size would be more important to me if I was trying to defend against them. So I think they would go smaller if Collins sat out. And then, no Gallo. You'll see Kong will probably get almost all the center minutes behind Capella. And then, as I mentioned, Kevin Knox would fill in for some minutes. I think Kevin Knox is in the rotation either way, especially if Lou Williams hits.
I think Knox would be in the rotation as the backup 4. I think DeAndre Hunter would slide to the 4 if John Collins was out, and they probably just go to either starting DeLon Wright or which they could start alongside Young, or just right to Bogdanovich. I think they'd go that route. Probably Bogdanovich would be my guess. Mm-hmm. But you could do the DeLon Wright stuff just to match up with FEV and Gary Trent, who's been on a tear obviously as well. So there could be some weird lineup combinations for Atlanta tonight, depending on the availability of both John Collins and Lou Williams. I also think Lou Williams, if he was not available, would probably prevent DeLon Wright from sliding in that starting lineup, because you'd want DeLon to be the backup point guard. So I think it's most likely Herter, Bogdanovich, Hunter on the wings, most likely in the case that Collins sits tonight. All right. The Pacers just signed Reggie Perry, so they get a little bit more front court depth. That probably doesn't mean particularly great things for Goga Bitadze or O'Shea Brissett. They've been questionable and ruled out the last few games. Is that the expectation once again tonight?
Yeah, I think Goga's a pretty clear lean out here, given the way he got essentially ruled out by Scott Agnes. Beat River covers the Pacers before, Tuesday for the Wednesday game. Really no indication he'll be back. Obviously, Isaiah Jackson's ruled out after getting hurt on the first rebound of the game. Big yikes. Looked bad. I'm expecting him to miss multiple games. So it's interesting. O'Shea, I think O'Shea's close, and that's the interesting part, because he was it seemed like he had a pretty good chance to play on Wednesday for an injury that's not as serious. So he could come back and start. Obviously, Reggie Perry signing is a little bit concerning there, but I would expect him to start. As great as Terry Taylor was, this dude's not a center. Torrey Craig was the tallest player on the team, so I would expect O'Shea, if available, to start. Maybe even play Reggie Perry behind him. But I still think Terry Taylor, who's a wing or a small 4, I still think he finds minutes. So it's kind of crazy that we're at this point. But Terry Taylor could be affecting guys like Dwayne Washington, maybe even Jeremy Lamb to a degree, Kiefer Sykes to a little bit of a degree, even Justin Holiday if he runs hot again. All of a sudden, Terry Taylor is just a thing now, based on the comments from Rick Carlisle. And I mentioned on 3Ball that he was so good that Rick Carlisle was saying hey man, we're going to use you as much as we can, don't foul.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
That didn't work out too well because he committed 6 fouls
in 37 minutes. But
he hung around out there. But Terry Taylor, who is shooting guard eligible on FanDuel and in the ESPN box scores, listed as a shooting guard, playing center for Indiana. Obviously, without Jackson, without Sabonis, without Turner, possibly without Goga, and maybe Brissett, they just have no front court players. So the Bulls, this sets up as such a good spot for Vooch once again. But the Bulls are a team that doesn't play a true center behind Vooch all the time, right? Sometimes they play Tony Bradley, sometimes they don't. They get into these smaller type lineups. So this game could be a game that plays just really small. We could see some Javonte Green at the center type minutes things for the Bulls tonight in weird lineup combinations. So just be prepared for that one. Other injury situations to keep an eye on. Gordon Hayward looks like we're going to get he's questionable with the return to competition reconditioning. So usually that's a sign that players are able to come back. But we'll see with Gordon Hayward tonight. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, should be back. Not a spring chicken anymore. He's got 8 daughters and 1 son or something like that. So, got the dad life. We'll see how he responds to the COVID protocols. So it makes natural sense that they just start PJ again and then bring him off the bench almost in the Oubre role, and then kind of move Oubre in the Martin role, and then, fill it in that way. Cause PJ was good. They hung around largely because PJ in the second half was impactful. And the matchup against Cleveland, naturally, you'd want to go bigger. We've seen teams routinely do that. So I think it just makes natural sense just to go PJ I think I said 28 minutes on Hayward, which feels about right. Maybe upper side 32, 33, downside like 24, 25, 26. Just given the nature of everything and how, again, like they don't want to hurt this dude. There were comments earlier in the season which turned out to be incorrect that they wanted to keep his minutes in check. So I don't think he gets full go here. I do expect him to play though.
Yeah, that Kelly Oubre stat line from that last game is like the most Kelly Oubre line of all time. 3 for 12, 1 for 7 from 3, 4 steals, 3 blocks, -2 in 34 minutes. Like,
nice.
Just sums up Kelly Oubre in so many different ways with a simple stat line.
Boston's baller. They're number 1 defense in 2022. And yeah, this with I saw Javonte. Yeah, Javonte. I call him cheap Rocco, man. He gets a little 3 blocks and steals. Won't be high usage, so I expect him to change. But yeah, he'll be, as you said, some center minutes. Could definitely be in play.
Yeah, appeasing the season-long folks in the chat with a little Javonte Green takes as well.
I've been tipping up some. I got a lot of Javonte. I'm pretty pumped for him. So
on the Utah side of things, they are going to get Donovan Mitchell back, but we don't know if they're going to have Clarkson or Whiteside. Grapey, one of our subscribers in the YouTube streets, has usually had a good line on Hassan Whiteside. Another reason to check in on the Establish the Look show later tonight behind the paywall at 5:00 Eastern. Sometimes you get that inside info from Gravy when he's been hanging out on Call of Duty with Whiteside, getting the inside scoop. But Clarkson and Whiteside questionable. Donovan Mitchell back. With Donovan Mitchell back, I think a lot of the Jazz wing players are just overpriced because Donovan's going to clearly soak up a ton of usage in that spot. But the front court stuff is something to pay attention to because obviously last game without Whiteside and Gobert, they started Azubuike. He got to 22 minutes, which I will take a little bit of credit for. I thought that's what he could probably get to. Of course, I thought that was going to be against Jokic, which didn't end up happening. But I think they'd start Azubuike again in that spot just because he played well. And they want to give him time to develop, whatnot. And Rudy Gay's questionable as well. He got thrown onto the injury report late here as well with a questionable tag, and he's really the primary guy that they'd use as a center alternative here. So what are your thoughts on Clarkson and Whiteside?
Yeah, I think Whiteside's out. I mean, listen, with the back strain, this guy generally with those kinds of injuries takes a week or so to get over it or more. So I think he's out. I don't feel like totally confident in that. Clarkson don't really know. Did get ruled out early with a knee injury. That's something new. Not a guy that's hurt very often. He's usually pretty durable. So decent chance he's back. Obviously Donovan Mitchell, long time off, right? From this concussion protocol. So a guy, as I mentioned in matchups, like really a rhythm player, right? So I feel like, his first game back, even though the matchup is so good, I think it could be a little dicey on rolling some Donnie Mitch out there. But as you said, like the prices are elevated on some of the perimeter guys as well. So wouldn't be looking to the Conleys. I'm still interested in Bojan just because, as we've been saying, which didn't really come to fruition in the last game, that their offense like just structurally changes without a center available. So I think Bojan could be a guy. Revenge game. I think step up even with Donnie back.
I think even more importantly than their offense changing without a center, I think really the big thing with Bojan is without a center, he's rebounded a lot. And the big thing with Bojan is he just doesn't do a lot in the peripheral statistics. So you're always looking for like a huge scoring load to carry the weight in DFS. And now if you can add in, 7 to 12 rebounds plus assists, all of a sudden you've got a little bit more of a foundation to get to a ceiling. And so I think that's the bigger thing for me without the bigs is that the rebounding start to get spread out a little bit more when you get Gobert off or Whiteside off. Those guys are huge rebound rate guys. I mean, 23, 24% rebound rates. So that's the thing that I'd keep an eye on there. Speaking of guys that have been out quite a while, Larry Nance for Portland, he's questionable on the injury report. Sounds like there's a chance that he can come back to play tonight against Oklahoma City. What are your thoughts on Larry Nance?
Yeah, they need it real bad. They have one power forward on their team right now, and Robert Covington. Trendon Watford, you could call Trendon Watford a 4, I guess, if you want, but they use him as a 5. But they need him. And we saw before he got hurt, he was starting as they brought Rocco off the bench. You and I spent way too much time talking about that. I think if you played, he'd come off the bench because you could use him as a backup center too. So that would really help things and facilitate the rotation a little bit better. It's kind of insurance for anything that could happen with fouls. So I think that makes a little bit of sense if he returns. We've seen Rocco play pretty good minutes lately. Same with Nurk relative to Nurk's expectations. He's some 38s, 37s. So a little bit upside coming off him there against OKC, which shut them down the last time they played. Dort just wrecked Simons in the last game. Expect that matchup again. Gotta talk about OKC. Talk about that a little bit later. But I think Larry Nance takes a little bit upside off the front court, guys.
Speaking of classic stat lines there, that Robert Covington stat line is just a beaut.
Yeah.
An absolute beaut. 0 field goals made, 40 FanDuel points. It's just an absolute beaut. You don't see many like that. That's just an incredible line. 13 boards, 9 assists, 4 steals, a block, and 0 actual points scored. All right, Josh Hart. We finally have the Pelicans without Brandon Ingram on the injury report. We've had the Pelicans without Brandon Ingram for most of the season, but we have him finally not on the injury report. But we still got Josh Hart hanging around on the injury report. Do we see Josh Hart tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be a game time decision according to Willie Green. It sounds pretty good. There were pretty encouraging comments. So I think he's back, and they don't have Billy Hernan-Gomez, so naturally you're just going to take Jackson Hayes out, put him as the backup center in the spot. Just pretty clean there. Obviously, Brandon Ingram. And
Do you think that's straightforward? I think they might want more of Hayes than that, and they might just keep him in the starting lineup and stagger.
Really? I mean, if Hart comes back, I mean, they kind of got to bring him off the bench, right?
No. I'm sorry. I'm saying if Hart is out. I'm saying
if Hart's out, I think if Hart's out, they could still get him up there. He's been playing pretty good minutes. We know they run Joval up there pretty good. They're going to need a lot of size in this matchup. So yeah, I'm with you. And they're not going to have Garrett Temple, so they got to fill minutes that way. I would assume that this puts Trey Murphy in the mix, who played great down the stretch in the last game. Hit a couple big threes to get 12 points. So he would be in the rotation. I wouldn't really see anything with anything much else changing there. Brandon Ingram will get the Aaron Gordon matchup. Aaron Gordon took him out of the game the last time they played too, but did do better in previous matchups. So interesting one there. I expect Denver to probably handle this one coming off 2 losses.
Yeah, hopefully for Denver's sake. The first game back from a long road trip for Denver. They have a very home-heavy schedule down the stretch, so potential to make some moves in the standings there for Denver. Seth Curry questionable for Philadelphia tonight. Seth wasn't on the injury report last game and then was ruled out, which has been, unfortunately, not the first time that's happened with Seth Curry's listing this year. Mm-hmm. When he's been on the injury report, he's tended to play. It's been kind of a weird thing on this. What are your thoughts on Seth Curry's availability tonight?
Yeah, 48 minutes. They list him on the injury report. He's playing all he can. But yeah. So was that shoot around? Don't know how much he did according to Gina Mizell. So sounds like he's got a chance to play, but just the nature of that injury, the way it was reported, I have some doubts. So we'll see. That would obviously help Danny Green a little bit more in a bad matchup. Mentioned Dallas' defense is really good, number 2 in 2022. So pretty straightforward. A little bit more Maxey minutes. Maxey would get probably a pretty bad matchup. I would say he gets the Dorian Finney-Smith assignment, Maxey Kleber getting Tobias, and then Dwight Powell picking up Embiid. So it sets up, even against a good defense, like they could really funnel stuff to Embiid in the spot. National TV narrative.
Other situations to keep an eye on tonight, just in terms of keeping you guys abreast of the injury situations. The Spurs are generally back. DeJounte Murray's back, but Lonnie Walker's out. So it's like kind of a mix. Some Spurs are back. Not all of them are back. Jakob Poeltl's still out, right? So like what do we got going on for the Spurs? Who the hell's playing tonight? Who are we going to see in the starting lineup?
Yeah, so stunner to me that Poeltl is back because he had blurry vision after the game, according to Pop. 2 games ago when he was on the concussion protocol. That's a crazy one. But anyways, this center rotation is messy. So you got Poeltl. We do not have Jock Landale. But we do have Zach Collins set to make his debut. He got the hype video from the Spurs social media team as well. So, I mean, he's going to play a ton. No, I'm kidding. But, so he'll be back. Very happy to see DeJounte Murray non-injury report after that scary wrist fall and a sprained tag. So he'll be back playing big minutes, bumping Trey Jones back to the bench. Obviously, Derek White, don't play him in tournaments is his back. Derek White's role got wrecked yesterday. Trey Jones was the point guard, had all the drives, all the touches, all the potential assists after Derek White was the man. But so we'll see Thad Young go away probably entirely. Is basically Zach Collins would come in there for, I think we put him at 12 minutes. But nothing crazy. Should see most of the guys back. Keldon, I should mention too. Keldon sprained his ankle, went to the locker room a little bit before halftime, came out and looked fine. So just keep an eye on that if anything gets added there. But looks like he's okay.
No Cade Cunningham once again for Detroit tonight. What do you expect? Once again, Saban Lee still on G League assignment. Josh Jackson out there as well. What do you expect to see from Detroit tonight on the second?
Oh boy, we got to trade a big one. Eric Bledsoe, Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson for Norm Powell and Robert Covington. Whoa, baby. Blazers are shutting it down. Are you still there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to process that for what it means for tonight's slate. Portland is on tonight's slate.
Yeah.
So this makes a big deal for a team that's already pretty thin in terms of how they are. That's
Bledsoe's value just got a boost. That's bad news for Simons a little bit too. I don't think he'll be.
I don't think it'll affect him much. I think that's just making salaries work there.
They could run. They can run pretty small too. Yeah,
that's interesting. That's like a straight salary dump for Portland.
Yeah.
But for tonight, from a DFS perspective with Portland, you take out Robert Covington, you take out Norm Powell. There's nobody on
LB season.
There's nobody on the wings. So
Ben McLemore they're going to start Tony Snell, I would say, especially if Nance can't play. LB would have to play more. Ben McLemore probably still stays off the bench. They like him in that bench role, maybe a little bit. Dennis Smith Jr. overlaps to fill some time there. So that's probably how. So that's 8 right there. And then Watford didn't put him in there yet, so they have enough to go pretty decent. Or Watford maybe 8. And they could bring Blevins into.
They're going to be
they got enough people.
They're going to be a spot to attack tonight, though, because there's going to be some cheap guys there that are going to have to play a decent bit. Unfortunately, one of them is going to be Tony Snell, which is never really a spot to attack. But that's an interesting trade. So on the Clippers side of things, I mean, man, that feels like they just. I guess Norm Powell has a big deal. Feels like they just unloaded spare parts.
Yeah. They don't like Bledsoe at all. I mean, they basically just got him for free. So, yeah, I mean, Norm will be Amir Coffey getting busted then. Like Amir Coffey's probably a drop. He'll be taking all his minutes, not all of them, but a little bit of ceiling coming up. Terrence Mann, Robert Covington will be cutting down Batum a little bit. That's crazy, man.
So this has got to be just a financial deal for Portland, right? They're just getting off of contracts, because they're not the Clippers don't even have picks to trade.
Yeah,
I guess they got Keon Johnson. I guess they got Keon Johnson as a prospect.
That's a pretty rough.
Interesting. I
should have Winslow also traded too. So
right. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Getting back to the injury stuff today, no Cade is what we were talking about on Detroit side of things. Yep. How do you expect Detroit to handle things in the absence of Cade?
So, much different matchup here, right? The last game they went with Rodney McGruder, who shot out to me, said that was possible. Way different. You're going to have to go against Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum here. So I think you don't want to put McGruder out there. I think you want to go Hamidou Diallo. So I think that would be the way I would do it. When I have a pretty good feel for Casey, I think he would follow suit there. So they still want to bring Frank Jackson off the bench, which they really like. So Rodney McGruder, you're basically just flipping. I mean, there's not enough minutes in anyways. If they're going to close with Frank Jackson, if Jackson's playing halfway decent, he plays decent all the time. So I'm definitely looking forward to some output there. Obviously, we saw Saddiq Bey's role really grow in a matchup I don't totally hate. Obviously, Boston's really good, but I think you could take advantage. I think they're going to cross match Jeremy Grant and put him on Tatum. So, Bey would probably pick up a lot of Al Horford stuff. So maybe close to the basket, get some more boards. I think Bey is kind of a little sneaky guy here. Oh, that was Dink. I thought I heard him cut out. Are you guys still there? I think so. All right. I feel like Garth from Wayne's World right now. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. Sorry, guys. Yep. Oh, we're good. Okay, so I'm just solo right now. Dink's internet cut out. There we go. Sorry. Okay. I'll handle the rest until Dink is back. Where were we? Sorry for the technical issues here. Got everything. Okay, so let's talk. Oh, I know what we could talk about. What I like to talk about by myself. OKC, right? So a lot of injuries. I talked about this a lot in three ball. So I think most of you guys who watch this listen to that, but I will hit it again for a different audience. So it's a big deal to me that Aaron Wiggins is out because he's their really primary defender at times. Like they put him on CJ McCollum the last time they played. So losing that role is huge. And they're like running out of point of attack defenders. So like I was saying in three ball, I think that they're going to start Darius Baisley in his spot, put him on CJ McCollum, keep Dort on Simons as well. So everything else should be pretty much unchanged. I think they do start Favors against Nurk. So that's something to keep an eye on there. Cameron Williams' role will be mostly unchanged. But as we saw Baisley, I think he could play a really good amount of minutes here. And they're getting more and more confident in him, especially when you're going to need a little bit more offense there without Shea. And obviously, Giddy's going to be running the show. His touch numbers have been fantastic. So really like him and a really, really good matchup. They put CJ McCollum on Giddy last time they played. So I think he could really take advantage there. Yeah, and then Trey Mann mentioned last time, man, like Mark Dagnall says he wanted to like quote let it rip, and then he keeps talking about like ripping shots, like that's just the way he defines Trey Mann. He was encouraging like his shot is so quick, and he's their scorer now. He's like their microwave kind of guy, and they want him to do that role. So you see these stats, it's going to be all scoring. So don't expect much else. But if he shoots the ball really well in a good matchup that's missing like Norm Powell and like all these other guys, missing Robert Covington, like there should be a lot of points to be had here on the OKC side. So a lot of guys you're going to really like there. I think that covers it. Moving on. This is hard to do by myself. But yeah, we talked about just quickly with Gary Trent. He did get dinged up. Something to keep an eye on. Not an injury report, but just keep an eye on it. I think that's something that it should be okay. Then we do have Joker and Aaron Gordon back, so should be back to normal. Mentioned Gordon's going to get their Brandon Ingram assignment. Jokic has done pretty well there against Joe Val. So I think that is it. Yeah, Boogie's going to be questionable. Not really a big impact. Jokic will obviously pick up all the minutes he can handle. That wouldn't be affecting him. I don't think that toe injury is going to bother him there. But yeah, so I think that's going to do it. Appreciate you guys hanging on. Yeah, we'll be back later behind the paywall. Gary with his new shirt will be on the show with Dink, assuming Dink's internet is back, which it better be. But I'll be in the chat. I'll be dropping chat flag plans and adding all sorts of notes for you guys. So make sure you come check us out. Matchups is posted, and there's Kyrie Coverboy, which now he's Chalk Kyrie Coverboy. So make sure you guys check that out if you are subscribing. We will be back next week in front of the paywall for free. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys later.